Hello and welcome to this session where we're going to talk about how can we double check the best career options that we had identified, evaluated and identified in the last session. Finally, obviously, to make a right career choice. As you know, I am Arun Singhal, your management coach and mentor with 40 years of experience in people development. So, what are we going to do today in this session? So, purpose of this module is to give you an in-depth understanding, as we've been trying to do all the while. And I think we must have done reasonably successfully. Is to give you a process, understanding of a process that can help you double check your best career options. That can help you make the right choices. And what we will learn at the end of this module is why should we double check? We will look at that first. What is the necessity? How can we double check the best career options and what could this double checking look like in real life? Right? Ready to go? Wonderful. So let's talk about what is your thinking on why should you double check your best career options. Take 30 seconds, pause the video if required, make notes and tally back the notes. Wonderful. So, if you see what we have done so far, we have looked at the options and we've evaluated on and we have ranked them on which of them meet our career objectives in terms of must, screen them, and then finally, which is the topmost ranked option that meets our wants in terms of. So, we have identified the best option so far, right? But we have not considered the risk involved in choosing the best option. So we also need to consider the risk associated and choose the option that balances risk with the reward. Okay, how can we double check our best career option? Any thoughts? 30 seconds, note down, come back, pause the video if required. Okay. So basically it involves two steps: identifying adverse consequences and then making a best balanced choice. So how can you identify adverse consequences? You begin with your best option, the first ranked option that you've identified in the previous process, previous session. And ask this question: what can go wrong if I choose this option in short and long term if this was the choice? And then you assign as a third step, what is the probability of it happening? Is the probability on high, medium, low, or what is the impact? How severe will be the impact on my life if this adverse consequences happen? And then you do for the second option, best option, then the third option. So by the end of this, you have identified for all the 3 or 4 or 2 best options, what can go wrong and what is the probability and severity of probability of occurrence and severity of what is can go wrong. Then you start looking at to making the best balanced choice. So you go to the best choice, the top ranked one, number one ranked option, and then you ask this question: am I willing to take the risk of this adverse consequences happening and its impact along with its gains? If the answer is yes, wonderful, you've identified your balanced option. That means you're saying, I like the gain, but I'm also willing to take the risk. So it's an acceptable risk to me. If the answer is no, you go to your second option, do the same thing. So you'll ask the same question and say, given its reward level and given its risk level, is this the right choice from you? And then you select the best option that balances risk and reward. So this, if you put in a piece of paper, the famous 2x2 matrix of all consultants, it could look something like this. On the y-axis, you could have risk associated and high, medium, low. On the x-axis, you could have the rewards associated. And your acceptable range would lie where anything with high risk, obviously, you should probably stay away unless you are a huge risk taker and you want to play with high level of risk. But then you need to do it knowingly. So suggestion is to go and take medium and high level of rewards with medium and low level of risk. Anything with low level of rewards, there's no point taking any kind of risk because that's not going to meet you. That's not going to keep you happy in your life, right? Okay, so how could this look like in real life? So I have in front of you the last stage that we've reached in the evaluation, which was my own case, and we had said, I had my objectives, I had my options, I figured out my best option of being an MNC, right? So how can we double check this option? Any thoughts? Want to note down on a piece of paper and come back and tally notes with what I'm going to tell you? All right. So what we would do here is, again, I would plot based on my judgment here. I would say first I will look at each option. My best option is MNCs. So I will ask the question, what could go wrong? And my answer was at that point of time, and still that in MNCs, I could get fired. These companies are usually performance driven, and if I don't perform, I'll get fired. What is the probability occurrence? Not high, because I'm myself a performance driven guy, so I will drive myself. The probability is only medium at this best. At worst, probability is medium. Seriousness, obviously, it's a high seriousness. Like if I get fired, obviously I need to start all over again. So am I willing to take that risk? And answer is yes. Yes, given that probably if occurrence is only medium, but seriousness is high and I can manage it, I think I'll take that risk. The second option is management education. So what could go wrong? Oh, this job could only be a couple of hours a day of teaching and some amount of research. So I could get bored. I'm not a kind of guy who can just work a few hours a day. I need to get occupied fully. And it is likely to happen. And the impact is again very high. So this is not probably a right choice for me. And third thing, again, a scientist could get bored, etc., etc. And then I plot this on a 2x2 matrix, and then what I see is that the MNCs falls on a level, the green zone, whereas the other two options of management education and being a scientist fall in the red zone. So obviously my acceptable, the choice that balances my rewards and risk is going to MNCs, and that becomes my considered choice of the career. So what did we learn in this module? What we learned in this module is that we need to double check our best career options to ensure that we have also considered the risk involved in each of them and selected the ones with acceptable risks versus the rewards that we are going to get. And we can double check the best option by identifying the adverse consequences for each of the option, assessing the probability of occurrences, and the impact and the seriousness that will have on your life, and making a best balanced choice by the ones that offer best rewards at acceptable risk. An acceptable risk is to you. You will define. It could even be a high risk that you're willing to take, but then you are knowingly taking that risk. You're right. So it will look something like this at the bottom that you see. The evaluation would look like a 2x2 matrix, as you see on your screen, right? And ultimately you would plot yourself on a 2x2 matrix on reward and risk, and you will define a green zone in which you will say, if my option falls in that, I'm going to take that. So isn't it the time for summarize now? Having done learn the 4 steps of setting objective, listing your options, evaluating and double checking, we will now summarize what we have done in the next session. So thank you so much for watching this video once again. I hope you have enjoyed this video. You learned how to make a right career choice, going through the various 4 steps process as much as I have enjoyed talking to you. I look forward to seeing you in the next session, where we will summarize the sessions that we have gone in this course, and look forward to seeing you again.